Fox Racing 2.0 Performance Series IFP shock offers the perfect combination of performance and handling in even the roughest of conditions. Match that with their aluminum body that dissipates heat, race-proven high-flow piston design, and application-specific valving, and it makes it the perfect choice for our F150. Best of all, they're completely assembled and set to give our F150 2 inches of additional lift, making this installation relatively hassle-free. Now follow along with us and see what's involved with the installation process. Let's get to work. Well, first, we're going to start off by taking off the ABS sensor hold and the brake line hold. Then this brake line hold up here as well. And we'll remove these plastic holds. Now, as you can see, the sway bar is already removed. Next, we're going to remove the tie rod nut. Reinstalling the nut on the end so we don't lose it. After removing the tie rod, we're going to loosen the upper ball joint. Now, a tip here is to not run the nut all the way off. You just want this loose for right now. We're going to remove the dust cap for the axle nut. And then remove the axle nut to follow. Next, we're going to remove the lower strut bolts. Then we're going to venture to the top of the strut and break all the strut nuts loose. After breaking the nuts loose, then remove all 3. Now, another tip is to leave 2 of the outer nuts on to aid in pulling the strut out. We're going to remove the upper ball joint nut all the way to get the strut out. Now you're going to fold the knuckle out of the way. Keep in mind to pay attention to your lines to make sure nothing's under tension. Next, we're going to put some downward pressure on the lower control arm so we can remove the strut. Then we're going to remove our last nut that we used to hold it. And the strut's out. Now let's compare our Fox strut to our stock one. The Fox is already preset at 2 inches of lift, it's easy adjustable, and is a direct bolt-in replacement for the stock one. We're going to start the reinstallation of our new strut. Next, we're going to install the upper 3 strut nuts. We're just threading them on. We'll come back and tighten them later. We're going to install the lower strut bolts. Another tip, you might want to put a little pressure on it with a jack just to get these nuts started. Now, we're going to reinstall the knuckle. Using a pry bar to put downward pressure on the upper control arm. Get that bolt started. Now we're going to come back and torque this at the end. We're going to reinstall the tie rod. Again, just starting the nut, we're going to come back and torque everything at the end. Now we're going to reinstall the sway bar. We're going to reinstall the axle nut. Next, reinstall the ABS sensor holder and brake line holder. And then it's time to torque everything. And now we're going to go through and torque everything to factory spec. Starting with the upper ball joint nut. Make sure to reinstall your dust cap over your axle nut. Repeat the process on the opposite side of your truck to complete your front shock installation. Now it's time to change the rear shocks. Super simple, just a bolt on the top and the bottom. Now let's get to work. Move the bottom bolt and set it aside. We're going to reuse it. Next, we're going to remove the top bolt. This bolt is to be reused as well. Move your old shock. Let's do a side-by-side comparison with our stock shock. The Fox shock offers an aluminum body that helps dissipate heat and will resist rust over time. And with application-specific valving, it maximizes on or off-road performance. And now we're going to reinstall our shock. We're going to start with the top mount. With the top bolt started, we're going to move to the bottom, coming back to torque it later. Next, install the bottom mount. Now with both bolts in, it's time to tighten and torque them. Repeat the process on the opposite side of your truck to complete your rear shock installation. With that, our new Fox Racing Shox are in place, and we're ready to enjoy the improved ride comfort of our truck.